Hello! In this video, I'm going to show you 2 easy ways that you can turn your central heating on and off with just the touch of one button on this Honeywell T3 or the T3R. Because a lot of my customers, they say to me, they don't want to do any timing, they don't want to go into any menus, they just want to be able to wake up in the morning, turn the heating on, and then when they want off again, they just want to be able to turn it off. And to be honest, that is probably the number one thing which I get told when it comes to programmers, is all I want to do is turn my central heating on and off. And of course, in this video, I'm going to show you the easiest way to do that. Of course, if you do want to know how to set up and operate this programmer, I made a really comprehensive video all about doing that, and you can find that video in the cards above now, and of course, down in the description. Now, one other thing I want to mention is sometimes these programs can have a fault where when you pick them up or you touch a button, the screen goes blank and it goes back to a startup menu. Now, if you're having that problem, then I made a separate video all about how you can fix that fault and get your programmer back up and running again. So then when you pick it up, it's not going to go back to that start screen again. And of course, find that video in the cards above now, and again, down in the description. If you want to know the easiest way to set the clock, I show you at the end of the video, along with why us engineers are having to fix these really complicated programmers. Right now, I'm going to get on with showing you how you can turn your central heating on and off with just the press of a button. So here's our Honeywell programmer, and on the front here, you can see it's showing us the temperature of our room right now. So it's saying 90 degrees. So that's the temperature of my room. And up here, it shows us the time. And that's just indicating the time that the programmer is set to. Now, if you want to know how to set the time, I'll show you how you can easily set the time at the end of the video. And just over here in the corner of the display, if you have the wireless programmer, you'll have that little wireless symbol there showing you that you have a connection with the receiver. Now, just before we get started, I just want to check that you haven't got this warning triangle flashing in your display. If you have, it means that the unit has lost its connection with its receiver unit, and you won't be able to turn your boiler on and off until you've got the unit reconnected to the receiver unit. Now, this wireless connection between the 2 units is called binding. And of course, I made a separate video all about how to do that. And of course, you can find that in the cards above now or down in the description. Now, we do need to make a couple of adjustments to the programmer to ensure that it's set correctly, so we can just use these 2 buttons on the front of the control panel to turn our heating on and off. So let's open our front panel up so we've got access to all the buttons on the unit. Now, this button just here, this is just used for setting the program and the time, so don't need to worry about that one. The one we need to look at first of all is this button on the far right here, and we just need to press this to find out whether the central heating is turned on or turned off. So I'll give that button a press like that, and you can see the display has now lit up, and now I'm looking to see whether I can see some numbers up here at the top of the display, and these are our set temperature. Now, if we press the button again, the display was going to change, so it says off at the top here. So we can see that our central heating is turned off. If we press it again, the numbers come back again. So by pressing this button here, you can see it either changes to off or it changes to showing numbers. And the numbers indicating that that is our set temperature and our central heating is turned on. So we want to make sure that we have numbers at the top here and it does not say off. Once you've done that, we can now move on to the next stage, which is this middle button here. Now, this middle button changes the programmer from auto to manual, or another way to say that would be from timer mode to manual mode. And we need to set the unit in manual mode. And in the display, you can see there's a little box which goes around either the auto or the manual. And when we press the button, it swaps from auto to manual, and we want to make sure that the box is around the man in the display. So press the button to do that. So that means you've now set the programmer into manual mode. So we're now done with the setting up part, and we won't need to touch these buttons again. So we can just close the cover down. So now you're all done and you're ready to use the programmer as a standard room thermostat. Now, just like a normal thermostat, you turn the temperature down and the heating's going to go off. And then when you want your heating back on again, you just turn the temperature back up again. As simple as that. Now, all we need to do with your programmer is just press the plus button at the top here to turn the temperature up, which will turn your heating on. And when you want the heating off, you would press the minus button and turn the temperature down. To demonstrate that, I'm just going to press the plus button like that. One thing to remember, we need to press the button several times when we want to make a change. So we press it once to light the display up, then again to make some changes, and then again to actually make the change. And then we can just keep pressing the button until we get to the temperature that we want to. Now I'm going to take this up to 22 degrees. There we are, 21, 22. And there we are. And now we're at 22 degrees. And now in a second, we're going to see a flame appear here. And now our heating has come on. And it's as easy as that. If I want to turn the temperature down, or if I want to turn the heating off, then I'll just press the minus button. So I can press that button and then turn the temperature down. So you can see when I press the minus button, the temperature at the top there is going down. And I could say set it down to a lower temperature, say 15 degrees like that. And then the heating won't come on unless the house goes below 15 degrees. But I always recommend, if you want the heating completely off, just to turn it right down to 10 degrees. And then your heating's not going to come on at all. And there we go, 10 degrees. And now my heating's not going to come on unless my house goes below 10 degrees. Which is extremely unlikely unless I have all my doors and windows open and it's absolutely freezing outside. So 10 degrees and the heating is off. And after about 30 seconds, the screen will change back to its normal standby screen. So there you go, that is the easiest way to use this programmer to turn the heating on and off. Now also, when you change the temperature, you can just hold the button in and then it'll whiz through the temperatures really quickly. And then you release the button when you get to that desired temperature. So of course you could also just turn your temperature down a bit. So instead of being 22, you could turn it down to say, I don't know, maybe 17 and just keep your house ticking over. Or maybe a little bit higher, say maybe 19 degrees. And then that's going to keep your house ticking over and not let it get really cold. Now just remember, the large temperature in the middle here is the temperature that my house is at. And the number above is the set temperature. So my house at the moment is 19.5 degrees. And the heating's just gone off because my set temperature is only 19 degrees. So my house is slightly warmer by half a degree, and so it's turned the heating off and the flame's gone away. Now in just a second, the programmer will go back to its normal home screen. And there we go. Now in its normal standby screen, you can't see whether heating is actually turned on or whether it's turned off. But if you press the plus or the minus button just once, it's going to light the display up and then we can see what the temperature is set to. Obviously, if your temperature is down low at 10 degrees, then your heating's off. But if your temperature is set high, say at 22, then your heating is turned on. And whenever you have the picture of the flame in the display, you know that it's telling the boiler to come on. Now I hope that all makes sense to you. It is pretty straightforward, and after you've done it a couple of times, you shouldn't have too much problem with turning your temperature up and down and turning your heating on and off. Now like I said in my introduction, there is another way of turning your heating on and off, and that could be useful if you're finding the numbers particularly hard to read. Now before I show you that second method of how to turn your central heating on and off, which you may find is actually the easiest method, I just want to quickly introduce myself. My name is Mark Ballard and I've been a gas registered engineer for nearly 30 years. The aim of my channel is to help you with your central heating and your plumbing. If you find this video at all useful, then please give me that little bit of feedback by clicking on that thumbs up or the subscribe. You can ring on the bell if you want to receive a notification, and of course you can share the video with your friends. If you visit my website, I have categorized all my videos and products and parts that I recommend so you can easily find what you're looking for. And I'd like to say a really big thank you to everybody who's bought me a cup of coffee and left me a donation in my Toolbox fund. It's really appreciated and it does really help me to make more videos which will hopefully help you. So to use the second method of how to turn your central heating on and off really simply on this programmer, again, we just need to make sure that our middle button here is set to manual, which it is. And then I adjust my temperature to the temperature I would like my house at. So I'm going to adjust that up to say 21 degrees. And there we go, that's 21 degrees. Then to turn the heating off, I just press this button here, the one underneath the power symbol. And then it says off in the top of the display. If we want to turn our heating back on again, then all we need to do is to press that button again, and then that'll turn the heating back on again. So that's another really easy way of turning your heating on and off. Make sure you're in manual, like that, set your temperature, and there you go. And then press that button to turn it off, and then press it again to turn it back on again. As simple as that. Using this method, you won't need to adjust the temperature again. So when you press off, the program will be off, and then when you press the on again, it will automatically go back to that temperature which you set it to, which in this case was 21 degrees. So I just want to give you a couple of little points. When you want to make a change, you need to press the button once to light the display up, and then once again to make the change. And that's the same for all the buttons on this programmer. Also, if your programmer says off, you can't make any changes to the temperature. So you can only make changes to the temperature when the set temperature is in the top of the display. So in other words, the heating is on. So that's it. That is the two easiest ways to turn your central heating on and off using this programmer. I do really hope that this has helped you, because I do know that people do really struggle with these new modern digital programmers. I do wish that us engineers could fit nice basic timers and room thermostats, but unfortunately the building regulations say that whenever we fit a new combination boiler, we must fit a smart control, which I know is absolutely ridiculous for a lot of people because they just can't use them. So it seems a pointless operation, but unfortunately we have to comply with the regulations. And finally, I'm going to show you the easiest way to set the clock at the top of the display here. Now, like I said, you don't have to set the clock. It's entirely up to you. It doesn't make any difference to when you use a simple operation. But if you want to set it to the correct time, I'll show you how to do that now. Now we can go into the program menu, scroll through all the menus, press lots of buttons to set the time and the date. And of course, my other video about this programmer, which is the detailed version of it, which tell you how to do that. Now, by far the easiest way to set the time is just to remove one of the batteries. So to do that, all we need to do is just remove this little cover down here, like that. We can then just remove one of the batteries. We don't even have to take it out. We just need to lift it up so it disconnects. Once the screen goes blank, we can put the battery back in again. Then the screen should start flashing at us, showing us the year. So we can then just refit the cover on the bottom. So just slip that up into there and clip it into place like that. And now we just need to go through the easy startup menu. Now you can see in the display, it says year and 22. So obviously we need to change the year. Whenever we need to change something, we just use the plus and minus buttons. And then when we want to save it, we just press this button here with a tick. So I'll just demonstrate that. If I press the minus, the years would go backwards. And obviously I want to change it to 23. So press the plus button up to 22, 23. And now I need to press this button here with the tick above it to save that setting. And as soon as I press that button, it's going to go on to the next setting, which is the month. So I can then change the month to the correct month. And then I'll press the save button again. And it takes me through to the day. And then I can just adjust the day if needed, like that. Again, plus or minus 21. I press the tick again to save that setting. And now we come to the time. So we've got the hours. So now we just press the plus or minus button again to make the hours correct. I'm going to change this to 15, like that. And then I can press the tick again to save that hour, like that. Where finally it takes us to the minutes. And now I can just adjust those again, plus or minus. I'm going to change that to 5. And there we go, 5 minutes passed. I press the tick. It then says save, and that's it. Our time is now correct. And then when the screen goes back to its home screen, we'll then have the correct time at the top there. And there you go. It now says 15:06 at the top of the display, giving us the correct time. After you finish setting the time, you might want to just double check and make sure that your programmer is still set on manual and your heating is turned on or off, whichever you prefer, and your temperature is set to where you like it. So that is the easiest way to set your time on your Honeywell T3 or the Honeywell T3R. So that's about it then. So if you want to watch one video on 10 ways to reduce your gas bill, you can click on the video just here. And of course, you can click on subscribe. You can click on the bell, give me a thumbs up, share it with your friends. And as always, my toolbox friend. Bye for now, and I'll see you next time.